We're starting to Proverbs chapter 10, and the first thing we see there in verse 1 is talking about a wise son, and a wise son also includes a wise daughter. This is unisex. Yeah, it's just talking about a wise child. A wise child. A wise child makes a glad father. We could use the father here as unisex. We could also be specific, because the masculine gender, is more attuned to receiving the result of the child. There's no way to excuse the masculine gender away from the sowing, but in the cultural, uh, traditional setting, the father seems to collect the glory, but the producing is done by the mother. In the traditional setting, the man is more focused, to provision for the family, while the mother is more focused to raising the family, and it still has a place because of the makeup of the man and the woman. The man is more attuned to protecting the family, from external danger, while the woman is more attuned to taking care of the family, from the inside, making sure the family builds strength, making sure the family is reinforced, making sure the family becomes all that God intends for the family. But the man is even though it does not excuse the man, being focused inside, but he's more focused at the external things. They're looking for the opportunities from the family, guiding against the threats, for the family. The mother is more attuned to building the strength and the weakness, and guide against the weakness of the family. But what's praying? So talking about Proverbs chapter 10, verse 1. So talking about, the role of the father, the mother in the family, you know. So using those two roles as mentioned in verse 1, you could use them as they are, and you can also use them as unisex. But Proverbs, you in a lot of time use them as they are. So we need to understand what he's saying. It's talking in terms of traditional roles. Today you have women that also go out to fend for the family, but that does not exempt them from a role of building the strength and guarding against the weakness of the family. Bible says that with our own hands, a wise woman builds up her family, builds up her family, builds up her family. That doesn't exempt the man also from doing that, but in a scriptural sense, it is the primary role for the mother to do, supported by the father. But we're all different at the end of the day. There are probably men with feminine energy who will also come and do a bit of that. But at the end of the day, again, it doesn't matter who does what, for as long as it is done, right? For as long as it is done, for as long as we spend time to build up our children, to build up the strength of our children, to affirm our children, you know, because the results are fruits, and the function of the seeds will sow. If you don't sow the seed, you won't get the right result. If whatever seed you sow will determine the result you get. A wise son is a result of an investment. A foolish son also is a result of an investment. You might call it a negative investment, but it's an investment nonetheless. And that's you get the result, right? The result don't come of their own. A foolish son doesn't just fall from heaven. A wise son doesn't just fall from heaven, right? It's an investment you put into them. Then you see the result thereof, right? So let's take it a little bit and break it more further down. You know, so 10 says again, a wise son, telling us that a wise child, our children could either be wise or foolish, right? They're either going to turn out wise or foolish, right? And if they're wise, it makes us glad. Yes, it's glad to the father because it feels proud of his family, of which he is the head, or the banner thereof, obviously it makes the mother glad also, not just the father. That's the place of the unisex, right? It makes the parents glad. When a child is wise, the parents are glad. The parents are happy. The parents rejoice over the results that they got. There's no house that raises a foolish child. Every house wants to raise up a wise child. Not everyone probably knows what to do, how to get there, but that's really our desire. The problem is that some people think that it is something that happens of its own accord, but it doesn't happen of its own accord. If you're going to have a wise child or not have a wise child, it's going to be because of the investments that you have made, right? If you don't invest the right, if you don't invest, you won't get. If you don't sow, you won't get, right? The result of what you get out of your child, it's what you invest into it, right? So it doesn't fall from heaven. Not does parenting, you don't get you don't have to parent just because you have given birth to a child. You don't have to know how to parent just because you're an adult. It's something we'll learn also, right? It's something parenting is learned, right? It's not innate in us. We learn how to parent. A lot of people have children, but they don't know how to parent. They themselves are still children, right? A child cannot be a parent. A child cannot raise up a wise child, right? We have to grow ourselves to be able to grow our children. You can only produce after your kind. If you are not wise, your children cannot be wise. You cannot be foolish and raise up wise children. So you yourself have to first of all be wise because you can only produce after your kind, right? You have to be wise to produce wise children. If you are foolish, you will produce foolish children, right? So, you say, but a foolish one is grief to his mother. But it's not only to the mother, the father is also grieved. The father is also grieved, right? A foolish child will produce grief to the parents. You'll be sad because you'll have to parent all your life. You're not supposed to parent all your life. We parent when the child is dependent, but we need to grow out of parenting into becoming coaches, into becoming mentors, right? We start as parents, but we become coach, we become mentor, become coach, we become mentor. We're not supposed to parent all our life, but if our children don't grow wisdom, that's what we do. All our life we're parenting instead of becoming coaches and mentors to our children. You know, may God help us. We'll continue tomorrow. God bless you. Thank